HHN newbies and veterans, rejoice. Horror Nights 34 is upon us. Hello everybody and welcome back. It is Michael from Hallowed Thrills back with another video, and that is absolutely right. It is officially opening night of Halloween Horror Nights, and we are talking about our ultimate guide for Halloween Horror Nights. Every year we come through, 34 years, there's gotta be some things changing year to year, and that is no different than this year. So we have a ton of things to talk about regarding where houses are gonna be located, what houses are what scare zones are what food offerings there are, and the new changes to Stay and Scream for this year. But before we break down all of that, please make sure you subscribe and hit the bell notifications turned on to get notified whenever I post a video, and also make sure you follow both Instagram and X. The links are down in the description below. But let's head into the park so we can talk about how you should tackle your night here at HHN 34. So 34 years of the event, I am now oh gosh, this is year 7, I think. I've been going since 2017. So year 7 for me. And like I said, it's always different year to year what we can kind of get and what we can expect for changes at the event. And this year is some of our biggest changes in regards to Stay and Scream and how you should tackle your night here at the event. So once we get inside, I'll kind of give a little breakdown of what options you do have when it comes to tackling your night here. So we have a couple different options for how you plan on tackling your night here at Halloween Horror Nights. So you have your express options if you want to do that. You have your normal standby. But the big issue that we want to talk about, the big thing that we want to talk about is whether you should arrive early, arrive late, or arrive super early and do Stay and Scream. Now, I personally am one for Stay and Scream. This year I do have Express, so it's gonna be a little bit different for me this year as to how many times I'm gonna tackle Stay and Scream. But let's first off tackle what you wanna do as far as if you aren't doing Express and you wanna be here for the entirety of the event. So if you are not doing Express, you're not doing Stay and Scream, but you plan on being here from open to close, I suggest getting here early. So the park officially closes at 5 o'clock for the daytime guests. So 5 o'clock, they close off these gates and no one else is allowed in. But you are allowed the option to wait outside for either the opening ceremonies or to get a good shot at getting in faster. So I suggest the event opens at 6:30. The gates close at 5. I honestly suggest if you're not doing Stay and Scream to be here no later than 5:30. You want to be here an hour before the event really kicks off, so you have the best opportunity of being closer to the front gates, so that basically when those gates open, when the opening ceremonies end, you are right into the park. So that gives you the best chance of getting to these front houses before they really get a super long wait. Now there is the crowd that likes to arrive late. Now I will say, if you miss the opening, honestly, if you get here after 6:30, you might as well just stay in City Walk, get something to eat, because the lines to get into the park are going to be insane if you do not get here early for the official opening of the event. So late arrivers, I would say probably 7:30 is probably a good line to get here if you're gonna get here late but still intend on being here for a majority of the event. Now I do know a lot of people who do Express show up at like 10 o'clock, run a few houses and then leave, or can even get through all the houses in that time frame if they stay until 2 a.m. So there are a couple options regarding that, but let's talk about what houses you should hit first if you're doing the camp outside option and kind of wait until the event opens at 6:30 if you decide to get here earlier but don't have Stay and Scream. All right, I finally made it across the park. So let's talk about the plan of attack if you are staying at the gates for regular entry with everybody else at 6:30. So my plan of attack for you is by the time you get in, every house should be open, but the houses in the back of the park over here by MIB will have the lowest wait times because people are gonna wanna start at the front towards those big hitter IPs. Now, there is one IP back here this year. The two entrances that are behind me are for Fallout and Gulkin Monsters of the North. So we have an original and an IP that are gonna be located at this entrance right here. So you can come back here and these will have the lowest wait times at the beginning of the night. So if you want to hit a couple houses super in quick succession, these two houses would be the one to go because you can go straight out of one immediately into the other, as these will have their own little separate section in the back away from everything else that you can kind of hit both of them one after the other. But there is two other houses back here on the other side of MIB that we can talk about that you could possibly also catch a short wait time on if you get through these two as quick as possible. So, like I said, over here on the opposite side of Men in Black, we have our Coca-Cola Freestyle area, but we have a house location over here for our other two sprung tents. So this house entrance is going to be for Dolls Let's Play Dead. And like I said, if you hit those two houses over there super quick, you could, in theory, run over here and still get a less than 30-minute wait through Dolls Let's Play Dead. And this exit will be right over here, and it'll exit right next to that Coca-Cola Freestyle area that I showed. And then you can follow it directly around here over towards Simpsons, where you will find our fourth house entrance portal. So in theory, you could knock out 4 houses in the span of about an hour and a half if you get the timing right. Like I said, right around Simpsons, in the extended queue of Simpsons, is going to be our entrance for our fourth house in the back of the park. And this one is HHN's Demon Bounty Hunters. And this is yet again another original house for this year's event. And like I said, this will enter here and then exit on the opposite side of Simpsons. And the exit for Hatchet and Chains is actually going to be just to the left here of the main exit for the Simpsons ride. Fortunately, Simpsons ride will not be open during the event, but the exit for Hatchet and Chains will be right here, just to the left and just to the left of the Simpsons entrance. So like I said, if you get into the park at 6:30 for the beginning of the event and you run straight back here, in theory, with the timing hitting right, if it's not too crowded from Stay and Scream, you could in theory get 4 houses done in about an hour and a half, which is a really great way to start your night if you're trying to get everything done without Express. So after you are done with the back houses, let's talk about where you should go next. Now, last year I found the perfect kind of play after you hit the back houses, and that's to hit the very front houses. Yes, so not the ones that are towards the back towards Fallon, but the ones that are right here next to the Minions ride. Now, this year it's a bit different, and I'll kind of show you why. Well, in previous years, to the left of Minion Mayhem, we have only had one house entrance here. But this year, it appears that we're gonna have 4 entrances here, which might mess some things up. I'm not entirely sure how logistically this is gonna work, but from what I'm hearing, there are gonna be 2 house entrances here and then 2 house entrances over by Jimmy Fallon. I'll kind of show off where those are. But from what I'm hearing, this is gonna be the entrance to Five Nights at Freddy's and the Horrors of the Wyatt 6. And then over on the other side will be for Grave of Flesh and for Terrifier. But my suggestion would be after you hit the back 4 houses to head straight up to the front to here, because by the time you're done with the back 4 houses, people are gonna move on from these front ones, so you might be able to get in into a lower wait than normal. Here is that other entrance that I was talking about between Music Plaza and Fallon, and rumors are as of right now that this will be the entrance for Terrifier as well as Grave of Flesh. Now, also with the Music Plaza house being here, you will have El Artista go through here, so I'm not sure logistically how this is going to work out for that, but as of right now, that's what we're hearing, is that this is where those entrances are going to be for those other 2 houses. Now, if the waits do look too long for the entrance over there by Minion Mayhem or the entrance over there by Fallon, you also have this maze of switchbacks here for another one of our houses, which is El Artista, a Spanish haunting. And this is an original house, so I could possibly see this one have a lower wait time. And it is odd that we do have an original house in this location this year. I'm interested to see how that will play out, but they are basically tailoring the event towards this original house. So we could get a surprise and see this one shoot up in wait times, especially with it being here in Music Plaza. But this is a possibility where you could catch this at a low wait after hitting those back 4 houses. But as far as those people that want to come and wait at the gate, the entrance gate, that's kind of gonna be your plan of attack when the event opens, is hit those 4 back houses as quickly as you possibly can, and then see which of these front houses has the lowest wait time, as hopefully by the time you're done those 4, the people have kind of migrated towards the back and you can catch maybe 1 or 2 of these houses at a lower wait time. But now that we're done with talking about those types of people that are going to be coming in, not have Stay and Scream, now let's talk about the Stay and Scream people, the people that are going to come in early, get in the park early, and hit some of the houses before the event actually opens. So let's talk about Stay and Scream, as this is one of the biggest changes that we have this year. So in previous years, we have had 2 Stay and Scream check-in places. Those have been at Lombard's in San Francisco, and then just behind me at Minions Cafe. Now, normally what would happen is you would check in and there would be a selection of 2 or 3 houses that you could kind of sit in a holding area for, and then about 10-15 minutes before the house opened for the night, you would be let into the actual line to wait until the actual house opens. And you might be able to get 1 or 2 houses in before people get actually let in at 6:30. Now, this year is a bit different. So we were still going to have those check-in areas, but those check-in areas are now going to be at Minion Cafe, Lombard's, and then as well as Villain Con Minions Blast. And basically, you will come in, check-in starts at 3 p.m., and you'll show them either your day ticket, and then, or you will show them your Horror Nights ticket, and they will give you basically a wristband that says, yes, I am supposed to be here for Stay and Scream / Scream Early. And basically what will happen is you'll be able to walk around the park until 4 o'clock, and then at 4 o'clock, they will open up the lines for all of the houses. So not holding pens this year. It will basically be, you can get in line for the actual house before it opens, and you can get in line for all 10 houses at that time. Now, the caveat to that is there are still houses that only open at 5:30, 5:45, 6 o'clock. And there will be houses that don't actually open until 6:30. So those 6:30 houses, you'll only be getting through that one house before everybody else. But there are opportunities where you could get through certain houses that open up at 5:30 and get through that and maybe 1 more, or maybe even 2 more before people get let in at 6:30. So it does give you options and allows people to kind of spread out more through the event, so that we're not having those front houses or those back houses be super bombarded with people. So it does give a bit of a better option, but I am interested to see how it's going to specifically work out with the security sweeps, but that is kind of your option as far as Stay and Scream goes. Now you may be thinking to yourself, Michael, you have only named 9 houses so far, and that is where our plan of attack here for Stay and Scream comes into play, as that 10th house that we have yet to talk about is where my plan of attack or best area to start for Stay and Scream is going to be. And here we are, ladies and gentlemen, my ultimate plan of attack for Stay and Scream. So, Fast and Furious is going to be our entrance for the Jason Universe house. The last couple years, this has been the go-to for the Stay and Scream people, is coming here first, because this house opens at 5:45. and you will get in there really quick, run through that house, and then you will be the closest ones to the back other than the people who started at those back back sprung tents for those houses. So you'll be able to hit this and then immediately get ahead of the entrance crowd to still get all the way in the back for those 4 houses. So you could get, once again, 4 or 5 houses done in the span of about an hour and a half. Now let's talk about scare zones. So this year, on contrary to previous years, we only have 4 scare zones this year. So let's talk about each one individually and kind of show off what you can expect in each zone. And where those zones are located so that you make sure that you are getting the most bang for your buck when coming to the park and making sure that you are experiencing everything. So that being said, our first scare zone is right here once you enter the park, and it is our entrance scare zone. This year it is called the Origins of Horror, and it is basically going to be our showcase zone as it always is. You walk through the main arch here that says Halloween Horror Nights. It's gonna be a beautiful lit up turquoise this year, and you're gonna walk right down the middle of Production Central, right through Minion Alley, and there are a ton of things going on here, and you'll have a bunch of different scare actors from different zones. You'll have scare actors from different houses, just chilling in this area, kind of showcasing what to expect at this year's event. This is one that will kind of set the tone for the night, and in most cases will be more of a photo op-y zone. Normally it's not one of the best ones just because of that, a lot of people stopping, taking pictures of the scare actors, but it can be very interesting, especially with what we're getting this year, as this is the first time since we've had Villain Cons here that the scare zone has extended down here through the actual central part of Production Central, and we have different things for each of the individual IPs on either side of the street. So this is one to take a look at this year, as there's going to be a bunch of really cool theming. Now for scare zones, we're going to take a trip down towards New York as our next stop for the scare zones, to take a look at our second of 4 main scare zones for this year's event. Here we are in the New York section of the park. This is, like I said, another one of our scare zone locations this year, as it always is, and this is one of the biggest scare zones for the event. This year's scare zone for New York is called Mutations Toxic 20s and follows BuzzCon, as a toxic waste spill has transformed the bunch of mobsters and gangsters in this area into really weird mutants, and there's a bunch of really cool theming all around. You'll have scare actors walking all around this area in different get-ups for the 20s theming, and there'll be stages all throughout, as you can see there, and also all the way down there, kind of where scare actors will do like a bunch of different kind of show scenes and interact with guests and everything. But definitely one of the more popular zones here in most years is the New York zone. So this will get relatively crowded. So through New York, now heading over towards the San Francisco section of the park. Now I did mention that we only have 4 scare zones this year. Normally we have a 5th scare zone here in San Francisco, but this year we have something a little bit different. And this is one of those things that I talk about, that the event is always evolving, so we're always changing things up. So instead of having a full-scale scare zone in San Francisco this year, we have what they're calling a street experience. So it's not something that's fully themed and fleshed out like a scare zone, but it has a loose theme that is kind of an extra added area to kind of relax and get some stuff and just kind of have nice horror vibes. So here in San Francisco this year we have a new street experience called Club Horror. So Club Horror is this section right here. They're just gonna have nice light sounds. There's gonna be a DJ, undead DJ up on the stand there. They'll have like go-go dancers out and about, just interacting with guests. It'll just be an overall cool vibe and a nice like kind of chill club style vibe here at Horror Nights. Just another nice place to kind of relax. But they also will have a bar section over here that we can talk about, and they'll have a bunch of different beers on tap that you can't get in any other part of the park. So They will have a menu right here when the event is going on. Currently, they do not have it up, but I do have information regarding what is going to be served here. So we have a variety of different beers from local breweries. So we have Crooked Can Burgermeister. We have Hidden Springs, which is over in Tampa, which has Riot Juice. They have the Whole Hog Pumpkin Ale, which you can get in other parts of the park. You have the Cigar City Jai Alai, which normally is in other sections of the park as well. The Orange Blossom Pilsner is not available anywhere else. And just like the Crooked Can Burgermeister and the Hidden Springs Riot Juice, those are some that are only available at this stand. They also have the Angry Orchard Headless Pumpkin Cider, which will be at this section. And then they also have a couple of our other souvenir alcoholic beverages that aren't beer, such as the Deadly Nightshade and the Phantom Punch, which we'll talk about more of those a little bit later when we actually cover food. And then also in this location, they have the Cursed Cranberry Vodka Spritz, which is a Horror Nights canned cocktail, as well as this year's Sour, which is by Tripping Animals Brewing Company, called the Fresh Fangs Sour Ale. And then they will have beers such as Modelo, Miller Lite, and then neutral canned seltzers as well. But tons of different offerings at this particular stand, and some that are specifically exclusive to this one. All right, time to talk about Scare Zone number 3. Scare Zone number 3 takes place here in the Central Park area of the park, and it is just past the Horror Makeup Show, just past Mel's Drive-In, or Mel's Die-In for us Horror Nights fans. And this theme is all about classic Halloween. This Scare Zone is going to be one of my favorites this year. It is all about a old lady. It's the Cat Lady of Crooked Lane is the name of this Scare Zone. It's all about an old lady who basically tricks kids to come up to her house for trick-or-treating, and then uses the candy to basically transform them into mutated cat people, basically. It's kind of the theming for this year's event, and you can kind of read all about the story on these boards as you walk through the zone. And as you continue to walk through the zone, you are seeing all these different props all along the sides. You'll have scare actors roaming throughout. You'll have the fog pumping. All the pumpkins will be lit up. It'll be an immaculate vibe. And then you'll head all the way down until you hit the end of the street, where you are face to face with the cat lady and her house. It is going to be a very interesting Scare Zone this year, because this is the first time that at least in my knowledge, that we've had the Scare Zone extend through Central Park and end up here at the end in front of animal actors. And in addition, this year, over to the right, it does look like we're gonna have a sort of mini walkthrough area where there are boo holes in here, so you could walk through this area during the event and still get your scare on. It's gonna be very interesting to see how this plays out this year, but this is definitely going to be one of the more experimental ideas that they have this year for Horror Nights. Now, we originally took our path straight from the front of the park. Now we are heading down towards Hollywood to check out our final Scare Zone, and then after this we'll also be checking out at the end of the street our last street experience. So let's check out our fourth and final Scare Zone. That is Masquerade Dance with Death. So yes, this is our fourth and final Scare Zone here in the Hollywood section of the park. And this is going to be themed to a masquerade where you are invited, but you are not really the guest that you think that you are, as every other guest that's here at the Masquerade Ball are vampires, and they are here to basically use you as a snack. There will be a bunch of different things going on. They'll have set pieces in the middle of the street. I'm sure they'll have different events throughout the night that will happen at certain time frames, as they normally do in this particular zone. And this is our second largest Scare Zone here in the park. Like I said, New York is our largest, but this is one of the more themed zones, and it will definitely have a crap ton of scare actors in it, and will have probably the more beautiful costumes, just based solely on the theme. Now, as you exit Masquerade Dance with Death, you run into Mel's Drive-In or Mel's Die-In, as this is our second and final street experience and our final experience that it will be happening throughout the park. And that is going to be Mel's Die-In Zombies. So there'll be zombie car hops skating around in this area. There'll be different kind of like zombie characters that are like greasers and just a whole bunch of other characters that will be out and about in front of Mel's Die-In. Should be a really fun time and definitely an extra experience that we haven't had in the past in this area that will really add to the ambiance of the event. Now let's talk about some extra entertainment here at Halloween Horror Nights. As for the first time in a couple years, we have 2 shows. So in addition to our normal one here at the Fear Factor Live stage, which this year is our Nightmare Fuel show, which is Circus of Decay, we now have an additional show, which I will talk about in a little bit, but one of our shows here is Nightmare Fuel Circus of Decay, and it is kind of like a stage show with a bunch of lights and music and a bunch of just dancing. It's a really fun time. I will say though, it does get packed, so if you are planning on coming to see this show, you might want to like schedule out a whole hour to plan on getting here, because the seats do fill up, and if you want a good seat, a minimum half hour early to the next show time is needed to be able to get a really good seat here. But that is one of our 2 shows, and then we will talk about the other one once we get across the lagoon. To the left of Central Park now that we are across the lagoon is our second show for this year, and it is Hauntophonic, a Ghoulish Journey. And this is a lagoon show that will be out there on the lagoon, and it is going to be super cool. A bunch of fountains, bunch of lights, bunch of music, and just an overall awesome theme and awesome kind of Halloween vibe to really capture the spirit of the event. Now, I will say this is going to be the first time in 3 or 4 years that we've had a lagoon show. So I'm not entirely sure how the crowds are going to be, but I would say similar to Nightmare Fuel, you want to expect to be here no later than 30 minutes early. You want to be here 30 minutes early at least before the show starts to make sure you can get a good spot. So for those ride crowd people though, we can head into Diagon Alley, as Gringotts will be open for the event. You can head in there, see the Death Eaters, and then also ride Escape from Gringotts. MIB will be one of the few attractions open this year during the event. It always is, but in case you were wondering on what rides you could get on here while the event's going on, Men in Black is the way to go, and they will also be accepting Express. I don't know if they will have single riders open, but this is an attraction that will be open during the event's duration. Another one of our ride options that is going to be relatively busy this year is going to be Revenge of the Mummy. This will be open for the event, and due to the fact that Rip Ride Rockit is not going to be open, I anticipate this is going to be an extremely busy ride during the event nights. And our last ride that will be available for the event this year for the first time in a couple years is Transformers the Ride. And this will be 100% a people eater, as this ride has a very high capacity. So I anticipate a lot of people will be getting rides on this during the event nights. With scare zones and houses out of the way, let's talk about shopping. Shopping is a big part of the Horror Nights experience. You gotta get your merch. I mean, I'm always decked out in Horror Nights merch whenever I'm here at the event. And this year is a little bit different with shopping. So as always, we will have our tribute store, but as you can see behind me, this is where our main tribute store will be for this year. Normally it's further down the street here in New York, over towards Rip Ride Rockit, but this year, because of the construction, it is down here in the Palace Arcade, as well as Sahara Traders. So you can expect both this and Sahara Traders to be open during the event, so you can do your majority of your Horror Night shopping. And this store is going to be extremely well themed. It's going to have its own overarching story, and we can take a closer look at what that story will be this year. So here is the entrance, or one of the entrances for the tribute store, and the theme is Occult Artifacts of the World. Yes, so it is basically a museum theme for this year, museum of antiques and oddities. Now, we have had this theme, a little bit of this theme last year, but I'm very interested to see what the inside of it looks like. As of right now, we don't know because it hasn't opened officially to the public, but it should be open. I believe Wednesday is our soft opening, or Wednesday was our soft opening, but it will be open for the event and normally during the day operation as well once Horror Nights kicks off. But that is not our only entrance to the tribute store this year, as we do have 2 entrances. As like I said, Sahara Traders will also be part of the tribute store this year. And Sahara Traders, for those who do not know, is the exit gift shop right here for the Mummy ride. So you can go in here through the Mummy or exit through the gift shop here and head into the tribute store. The cool thing about this tribute store is, like I said, we will have a secondary entrance into the main section of the store, which this will lead you into the Palace Arcade to head into the main section of the tribute store. If you're wondering about what kind of merchandise you should be buying, every year it's always good to get the house shirt. So this year's house shirt has this logo on the front, which is a really cool logo, and then on the back it'll have all of the houses that are at this year's event. So this year's houses, of course, are Terrifier, Five Nights at Freddy's, Fallout, Horrors of the YX6, which is a WWE house, Jason Universe, Gulkin, Monsters of the North, El Artista, Spanish Haunting, Dolls, Let's Play Dead, Grave of Flesh, and then Hatchet and Chains, Demon Bounty Hunters. And these ones down here are originals, and then obviously the ones up top are based on intellectual properties or movies/TV. And like I said, that tribute store is the main hub for any big merchandise purchases that you'll probably be making here for the event. But there are a few other stores around the park that will be holding merchandise and having merchandise for you to be able to purchase if you want to try to avoid the crowds of the tribute store, because they will get very busy and crowded at points throughout the night. So there are a couple other options that I will kind of show you guys to where you can get merchandise if you are trying to avoid the crowds but still want to get something simple like the house shirt. Now, we're here in the San Francisco Candy Company, as this is probably going to be the most slept on area to get merch, as there is a crap ton of Horror Nights merch in here. You got stuff for IPs, you got popcorn buckets, you got Little Boo stuff, you got Clown Cafe and Fallout food in here and candy as well. All sorts of different stuff in here regarding all the IPs and house shirts, and just this is probably the largest collection of stuff that you can find that will probably have the lowest amount of weight to get. But I will say it might be a bit crowded at certain points, because they also do have specialty items in here for dessert for Horror Nights. Now, over here right next to the Men in Black gift shop, we have these 2 stands here. Now, this is going to be another spot where you can get kind of a few different Horror Nights merchandise options. Like I said, like that's the house shirt and the original Scarezones shirt here, as well as our like marquee stained glass IP logo and our different popcorn buckets. We have Art the Clown as well as Megan. And like I said, this is kind of going to be one of the other options of where you can get merch that will have a little bit less of a weight to get stuff as compared to the tribute store. And we have another one of the little booths here that you can get merchandise at. And this is the one that's right out in front of Mel's Die-In. And like I said, just a little bit of a smaller booth, similar to the one that was out in front of Men in Black. And this will have primarily Mel's Die-In merch, it looks like. And then there's also going to be a little bit of Little Boo merch. But just like I said, a less crowded area for you to get some quick merchandise purchases that won't be as crowded as some of the other spots in the park. And inside of the Masquerade Dance with Death zone, we have another one of the options of where you can go to get merchandise here at the Five and Dime. And they will have a majority of the preview merchandise here, as well as some of the other stuff that it has released. So you'll have your Five Nights at Freddy's stuff in here. I have a whole bunch of different hats and jackets and t-shirts and even coasters. And then they'll have other things like your Scarezones shirt, your house shirt, your event shirt, just basic kind of merchandise for this year's event. And like I said, this will be another one of the more less popular spots. Still a little bit more popular than the little booth that was next to Men in Black, but not nearly as popular of a spot to get merchandise as the Tribute Store. Our second to last option for merchandise is over here across from Bake My Day and the Minion Cafe, and that is right here in this little booth. And they'll have, once again, some options like the house shirt, Scarezones shirt, original house shirt. Just primarily a collection of the normal stuff that most people will be getting, and not more of like the outlandish stuff that will be in the other stores. But this is, once again, a less crowded option than the studio store as well as the Tribute Store to get some of that quick merchandise like that house shirt. And back to the front of the park we go for our first or possible last chance to get merchandise. Here at the main Universal Studios store, this is going to be yet another area where you can get merch, but this is going to be just quite as crowded, if not more crowded than the Tribute Store, just because it is closer to the front of the park. So you can get some merchandise here if you choose. There is some theming for the event in here, but like I said, this will be just as crowded, if not more crowded, than the main Tribute Store if you decide to get your merch from this store. Like I said, my suggestion would be to kind of get your merch from Five and Dime, as that's probably going to be the shortest wait. But obviously you want to get the stuff at the Tribute Store as well, because that Tribute Store is always awesome. Okay, now with houses, Scarezones, shopping, and shows out of the way, now it's time for everybody's favorite thing to talk about, and that is food. We're gonna do a quick rundown of the different food booths, their locations, and some of my key things that are gonna be available at these food booths that you might wanna try while here at the event. Starting off over here, we do have a couple food booths here. So we have 2 Terrifier food booths as well as a bar. Now, I'll put up on the screen each individual food booth's information, but a couple of the different options that are going to be available at each of these that you might want to look out for is over here at the kind of Terrifier booth here. We will have 2 different areas where you can get stuff for Terrifier. So you have Sienna's Burnt Angel Wings, the Clown Cafe Bloody Popcorn, which will be over here at Clown Cafe, the Abracadabra Sunflower Glasses, and then different beverages as well, including the Starry Night Spritz and the Clown Cafe Juice and Mocktail. But these will be available, I believe, at both locations. It'll be the same thing at both locations, so you can get either of them, and then they'll also have other various canned cocktails and beverages as well. My mistake, this is the Cursed Carnival food booth. I am so sorry. So that one's specifically for Terrifier, and this one is for Cursed Carnival. So I'll throw that up on the screen right now for Cursed Carnival, where they'll have the Death by Cheese Stick, the Freakishly Long Corn Dog, and then other random beverages and canned cocktails, including the Zool Beer Company PB&J mixtape, which is a very interesting peanut butter and jelly themed beer. But definitely some food items that you want to be aware of here at both those booths. All right, next up, as we continue around the corner from our other 2 booths there, we have the Horrors of the Wyatt 6 booth. Now, the food items that are going to be available here are the Huskus Muscleman Slop, which is going to be like a bacon sloppy joe, a spicy bacon sloppy joe, and then the Ramblin' Rabbit Fried Carrot Cake, which does sound delicious and might be something that I grab. And then they also have a mocktail and a regular alcoholic beverage here as well. The Light the Way is our regular cocktail, and then the Let Me In is our mocktail. And I'll put that up on the screen as well as to like what the ingredients are for those. But that is the Firefly Funhouse Wyatt 6 booth. And directly to the left of that is our Fallout food booth. And now the Fallout food booth will have the Cram Tots and More, which is crispy cheddar tater tots with glazed Spam, which sounds amazing. The Pickle Bucket Baked Chicken, the Yum Yum Deviled Eggs, and then we also have a couple beverages. Now there's one beverage here that will be a must get at the event and will go quickly. So if you want to get this, 100% get this early on. And that is the Radaway, which is a mocktail and will be served in the Radaway kind of like bag from the actual show, so that will be a definite thing that you want to get. They also have the Quantum Cola as well as the Dark Nuka Cola. Now, the Quantum Cola is just a regular mocktail, and then the Dark Nuka Cola Dark is a alcoholic beverage. And directly across from that is Avenue Eats, which will have a couple food options like the African lentil coffin, and then of course your regular canned cocktails and beverages as well. And then directly across from that will be our other one, which is going to be the 57 Scare, which we can take a quick look over there. As you can see, it's just across the way over there. 57 Scare. It's going to be the pizza skull and then the canned craft cocktails and beers over there as well. As we head down New York, we will be taking a look at another food booth. And this is the Black Cat Lounge. That'll be down the Sting Alley area. And they will have a couple different beverages here. No food offerings, just all cocktails. And they have the Cat's Meow, the Zazzler, the Ragamuffin, and then they also have premium cocktails that you can get in here, as well as our canned cocktails. And this will just kind of be a nice area to just chillax, grab a drink, but it'll be themed to the Scare Zone and to the Black Cat Lounge. Now down the road at Louis is going to be another food option for us, as this is where our Five Nights at Freddy's dining area is going to be, as they will have the Why Not Both Pizza and Pasta, which will be a pizza with literal spaghetti and meatballs on top of it. And then they'll also have the Mike Eggs Benedict, which will be an Eggs Benedict sandwich, which sounds delicious. And then they will have the Cupcake, which is Mr. Cupcake from the movie, which would be a chocolate cupcake with raspberry, cannoli cream filling, and mascarpone buttercream icing. And then they'll have two mocktails in here as well, Chica's Sour Lemon Tang and Boxy's Strawberry Soda. Okay, so just through the London area, we have another food booth, and this is our Camp Crystal Lake food booth that is going to be themed to Jason Universe. And here we'll have the Spiral Sausage, the Camp Bloody S'mores, which I think will be a big hit this year, and then Elotes, which will also, in my opinion, be a huge hit in this area. But the alcoholic beverages are what's really getting me here, and they have the Crystal Lake Coffee, so an alcoholic coffee this year, as well as the Blood Orange Mocha, which is a mocktail. And then they also have the Angry Orchard Headless Pumpkin Cider, which is going to have that Jason Universe theming on it, as well as other canned cocktails and beers here as well. But this is going to be one of our more popular areas, I'm going to assume at this point. And directly across from that is a Fanta bar. And this is our Bridge Fanta bar, which will have the Strawberry Margarita, the Phantom Punch, the Deadly Nightshade, and then also premium cocktails that you will be able to mix and match yourself. As well as other canned craft cocktails and beers. And we have another bar directly across from Nightmare Fuel, and this is our bar for the World Expo Fanta bar, and they will have the Fizzy Fright, the Phantom Punch, the Deadly Nightshade, and then of course the premium cocktails, as well as the craft cocktails and beer cans as well. All right, I know we've been through a lot of food so far, but we still have we're about halfway at this point, so bear with me as we are crossing over the bridge over to Simpsons to head over to Animal Actors to hit our next 3 food booths. All right, our next food booth up just through Simpsons is our Dolls Let's Play Dead food booth. And this has the return of the spicy Uncrustable peanut butter and jelly sandwich. This is called the Mom Cut the Crust Off PB&J. It's a fried peanut butter and jelly with hot maple syrup and chili flakes. And then they will also have the Temper Tantrum Tendies, which will be sauce tenders with either barbecue or marinara sauce to dip in. And then they will also have Blood Orange Screamsicle cocktail, as well as the Toy Box Cider cocktail. Those all sound like good things to me. So this might be a food booth that I hit up multiple times throughout the event run. The only other option for this is that this could be the Cat Lady of Crooked Lane booth, which would make a little bit more sense as there's a little bit more food options and drink options. So this would, if that is what this is going to be the Flamin' Hot Birria Ramen, the Tostitos Birria Beef Walking Taco, and then the Fritos Vegan Walking Taco. And then for the drinks, they'll have the Berry Scary alcoholic beverage, the Sourpuss, and then of course the premium cocktails that you can get, as well as the Whole Hog Pumpkin Ale and other canned craft beverages as well. Across from that is Imagination Cafe, where we will have the return of pizza fries, of course. And this is going to be the classic pizza fries as well as vegan pizza fries. They do not have the dessert pizza fries, the s'mores ones, on the list this year, unfortunately. And then we'll have the Phantom Punch and Deadly Nightshade cocktails over here as well. All right, stick with me. We are heading through Central Park as we have 3 more spots to hit up, and then we will be done here with our overview of the entire event for this year. Okay, here we are. This is another food booth here next to Cafe La Bamba. And like I said, this is either going to be the Twisted Tater area for the Twisted Tater chips, or this is going to be the Cat Lady of Crooked Lane food booth. One of the two. But based on what I'm seeing as far as what they have set up behind here with fryers and warmers, I'm gonna guess that this is our Twisted Tater booth. Like I said earlier, so there's gonna be the Twisted Tater chips and then the canned cocktails. All right, here we are, the HHN bar. Our last major bar that is gonna be at the event here this year. And they will have a ton of different drink options here as well that are different that you can't get anywhere else in the park. So they have the Pack Mule, the Dead Man's Hand, then of course they also will have the Phantom Punch here, the Deadly Nightshade, and then of course our premium cocktails that are make your own, and then of course the canned premium cocktails and beers as well. And they will also have wine in this section as well. And here we are across from Minion Cafe, our last food booth. Right next to the entrance to the house is the El Artista, a Spanish haunting booth. And this is where they'll have the pan con tomate, the grilled gambas al ajillo, or ajillo, and then the artist's palette. Honestly, the artist palette I think will go fast this year. It's churros with dulce de leche, raspberry jam, and Bavarian cream. All sounds delicious. And then they also will have Sinister Sangria here, and then the No Booze Brew, which will be a 0 alcohol sangria as well. And then they'll have the cocktails and beers here as well. But that is the entirety of the event wrapped up in a nice big bow for you guys. Our entire ultimate beginner and veteran guide for Halloween Horror Nights 34. And as far as what you can expect for this year's event and where you could go to get food, rides, shows, and all of the houses and scare zones. It's gonna be a great year. If you guys did enjoy this video though, please make sure you drop a like and also comment down below. What are you planning to do? Are you team stay and scream? Are you team come early? Are you team come late? What are you planning on doing for this year's event? I'd like to know down in the comments below. As always, I'm Mike from Halloween Thrills, giving you the all clear, and all clear means you're out of here. See you guys next time.